Hello and welcome to Thai Aviation. Fuel is considered as a necessity in every vehicle as they need fuel to both get powered and of course stay powered. Today I want to discuss a rather unusual set of coincidences that led 3 Ryanair planes to simultaneously declare a fuel emergency. I don't remember where I first heard of this event, but when this suddenly popped up in my head a few days ago, I want to try and find that video again. However, I could not find it. Maybe it was something I was imagining? I guess we won't know for sure, and I figured, if there's no video about this, why not make one myself? Before I begin this video, just a quick note on that there was never a final report for this particular incident. Therefore, some of the information in this video is based on what I can find in news articles and on forum posts. However, this incident was included in a different incident report where a similar event occurred 2 years prior. Perhaps I can cover this case in a different video if you guys are up for it. Nevertheless, I will also include a lot of information from this report as well in this particular video. Anyway, all sources will be found down in the video description below. Now, let's take a closer look at the events that unfolded on that particular July evening. It's the middle of the summer in Europe, and many families and friends are heading south towards the Mediterranean to enjoy their holidays or to visit their loved ones. On July the 26th, 2012, 3 Ryanair planes were preparing for departure to Madrid Barajas Airport, located in the capital city of Spain. The 3 Ryanair flights that will be in focus for this video will be the following. Ryanair flight 5389 from Stockholm Skavsta Airport, Ryanair flight 9 Victor Romeo from London Stansted, and Ryanair flight 2054 from Palma De Mallorca. On this particular day, a total of 17 airplanes from various airlines had to be diverted from Madrid due to adverse meteorological conditions, as the final report states. In short, a heavy hailstorm had entered the area of Madrid, making it near impossible to land this aircraft safely. Let's start by looking at the first flight that departed, and in this case it's going to be the Stockholm flight. At around time 1600 UTC, Ryanair flight 5389 with the registration Echo India, Echo November Mike was preparing for a departure from Stockholm, Sweden. A total of 140 passengers were on board this flight, operated by a Boeing 737-800. Everything went according to plan for the entirety of the flight, until the last part, which was the landing. Ryanair flight 5389 lined up on runway 18 left in Madrid, where they tried to perform a normal landing. This proved to be almost impossible with the current weather conditions. At time 2012 UTC, flight 5389 performed a go-around due to the storm. The aircraft proceeded to the waypoint named Respi, but shortly diverted further south for a few minutes. Furthermore, the report stated that the aircraft proceeded to point Lalpi, situated northwest of the runway, before finally, at about time 2030, deciding to divert to Valencia. The crew of flight 5389 declared a fuel emergency at time 2114. The fuel data in the operational flight plan did not list any extra fuel. However, the crew did take a total of 892 kilograms of extra fuel with them. The flight touched down in Valencia with a total of 1,228 kilograms of fuel, with 1,090 kilograms being calculated as the final reserve fuel. Although close, it was still within operational limits. Approximately 3.5 hours prior, at around 6 in the evening, a second Ryanair flight bound from London Stansted experienced the same set of problems. Ryanair flight 9 Victor Romeo with the registration Echo India Delta Hotel Hotel departed the British capital with 179 passengers on board. Similar to the flight from Stockholm, this flight went completely smoothly until it lined up for landing on runway 18 right in Madrid. However, at time 2011, the pilots decided to abort the landing and perform a go-around due to the weather conditions. The crew was directed to hold on waypoint Respi, but 9 nautical miles before reaching the holding point at time 2015, the crew decided to divert to Valencia. This proved to be very challenging as due to the storm, Valencia was experiencing a very high volume of diverting flights, and the crew of Ryanair Flight 9 Victor Romeo was instructed to hold over Point Mulat. This they did at time 2001. According to the crew, there were 6 aircraft in total on approach to the airport of Valencia. Simultaneously, another aircraft declared an emergency, causing the Ryanair crew to hold even longer. At time 2104, the crew informed Valencia ATC that they only could afford to hold for another 2 to 4 minutes, before they also would have to declare a fuel emergency. Eventually, at time 2111, the crew of Ryanair Flight 9 Victor Romeo declared a fuel emergency. Fortunately enough, only 1 minute later, at time 2112, the flight was cleared for ILS approach runway 30 in Valencia. The aircraft landed safely, without any further problems. The fuel data in the crew's flight plan did not list any extra fuel as with the Stockholm flight. However, the pilots of Ryanair Flight 9 Victor Romeo did take another 283 kilograms of extra fuel with them. The aircraft touched down with a total of 1,160 kilograms of fuel, where 1,119 kilograms was calculated as the final reserve fuel, meaning that the flight just marginally landed with allowed minimal fuel on board. Approximately 200 kilometers east of the Spanish mainland on the island of Palma de Mallorca, Ryanair Flight 2054 was preparing for a rather short 1.5-hour domestic flight to Spain's capital. On board the aircraft were 150 passengers. The same way as with the 2 other Ryanair aircraft, this flight performed completely normal until it lined up on runway 18 right in Madrid to land. Due to the storm, however, this proved to be almost impossible, and Flight 2054 performed a go-around at time 2008. The aircraft proceeded to waypoint Respi, located northwest of the airport, with the intentions of actually trying a new approach at first. Nevertheless, the flight was diverted to Valencia at time 2019. At time 2059, Ryanair Flight 2054 received instructions to hold. To this, the crew replied that they couldn't hold as they didn't have sufficient fuel. Valencia ATC asked if the crew wanted to declare an emergency, which the crew eventually did, issuing a mayday at time 2100. Similar to the 2 other flights, this flight's operational flight plan also did not list any extra fuel. However, the crew did bring a total of 613 kilograms of extra fuel. The plane landed with a total of 1,029 kilograms of fuel versus the 1,104 kilograms calculated as the final reserve fuel. This means this was the only of the 3 Ryanair planes that landed below the final reserve fuel. Thankfully, all of the Ryanair flights made it down safely at their alternate airport. This incident, however, raises concerns regarding the operation in their airline. How could this possibly have happened to 3 airplanes from the exact same airline at the exact same time? As mentioned in the beginning of this video, this set of incidents did not receive their own final report. The reason for this can be found in the report I mentioned earlier. Quote, "An individual investigation into these cases would not lead to the formulation of different conclusions or recommendations than those noted in this report, though the presentation of said cases would further strengthen the arguments which some of the recommendations issued herein are based." Furthermore, an article published by the Irish Times states the following: 3 Ryanair aircraft which carried out emergency landings in Valencia because fuel supplies ran low after they were diverted from Madrid followed safety guidelines and had enough fuel for their flight plans, an Irish Aviation Authority (IAA) report has found. However, the report further states that they have asked Ryanair to review its fuel policy, particularly when flying into busy airports in bad weather, and suggested it provide extra training to the staff for scenarios similar to those which occurred over the Spanish capital. Furthermore, this incident did raise the question if Ryanair planes intentionally carried less fuel on board to save on cost. Nevertheless, the IAA report found that the crew followed EU safety guidelines and that all of the aircraft had fuel, quote, in excess of flight plan requirements. The IAA report further states that, quote, diverting with the fuel close to the minimum diversion fuel in the circumstances presented on the evening in question was likely to present challenges for the crew. The IAA report concludes with recommendations issued for the future for Ryanair to review the fuel policy and consider issuing guidance to crew with respect to fuel when operating into busy airports, particularly in poor weather when diversions are likely. Ryanair should also emphasize such scenarios in pilot training to handle diversion management better in the future. Thank you guys so much for watching. This is my first video of this kind, so make sure to leave some feedback on how you like the video. Until next time, take care and goodbye.